Right, so the 27-inch iMac for the most part really won't be that surprising because the design is going to be based on the smaller iMac, and the chips, well, they're going to be the M1 Pro and the M1 Max. And so with most of its components already being announced, this is going to be a pretty straightforward upgrade for the most part. At least, that's what we thought, but there could be one surprise with the larger iMac, and that's a beefier version of the M1 Max. And so let's delve into it, but first make sure to like and subscribe for the latest Apple news and rumours. And with that being said, let's just tuck in. Right, so ever since the M1 Max announcement, a lot of us have been wondering whether we'll see a beefier version of it in the bigger iMac. Because of course, unlike the MacBooks, which have size and thermal constraints, the iMac's going to be a much bigger machine, and so Apple could give us better performance with the bigger iMac. And that brings me on to this tweet, where a person found references to multi-die components within the M1 Pro and M1 Max chip. He also mentions the IRQ controller in these chips have been engineered with a second half for a second die that is currently not being utilized. And so basically this means there is more than one die within the M1 Max that could allow for more cores, and so as a result, we could see a 20-core M1 Max very soon. Now yes, I know some of you guys might be thinking this is a chip going into the Mac Pro, but do note, the Mac Pro's releasing at DubDub, and I believe we've heard reports regarding the M2 MacBook Air launching around then too, so of course we could see the Mac Pro chips being based on the M2 chip instead of the M1, since of course M1 would nearly be 2 years old by that point. And so the multi-die references could be suggesting a 20-core M1 Max could be going into a future Mac, and that could be the bigger iMac. And of course, courtesy of Ross Young, we do know the bigger iMac is going to be launching in the spring before the M2 chip, and so I do think there is a strong chance we could see a beefier version of the M1 Max built for the bigger iMac. Now the next question some of you guys might have is of course fitting all those components in the actual chin. So of course with the 24-inch iMac, Apple put all the computer components of the device within the actual chin, so we do expect Apple to do the same with the bigger iMac. The issue is, while Apple can give us the regular M1 Max within the chin of the device, they can't give us a 20-core CPU. That's going to be way too big, and so that might cause a problem. Now Vadim on Twitter does suggest Apple could connect the two dies by the unified memory to create a long SoC, but this sounds pretty complicated and might not be practically possible. And so the other more likely options is Apple putting the components behind the display like they did with the older iMacs. Now this would make sense because, unlike the 24-inch iMac, this has to be thicker because of the beefier thermals, and of course since it's a Pro machine I doubt Apple cares about the thickness of the device. And so yes, I do see Apple putting the components behind the display on the bigger iMac, and that could result in a smaller chin, like we've heard in the past. In fact, if Apple does rebrand this as the iMac Pro, I can see Apple giving us slight design changes like a smaller chin and of course black bezels. So yes, on the whole, I'm pretty confident about Apple giving us a beefier M1 Max in the bigger iMac. But tell me your thoughts on this report in the comments below. Anyways, thank you for watching guys, make sure to like and subscribe for the latest Apple news and rumours. Check out the video in the card above on details regarding iPhone 14, and on that note, I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya peeps!